If you have been struggling to manifest more success, more money, more love, whatever your desire may be, you simply can't manifest because you most probably are not doing the things that you said that you will do. When you know you need to do something, just do it. When you promise to do something by the end of the day, just do it. When you promise someone, when you give your word to someone that you will do something, commit to it and do it. When you don't do these things, it can be either a promise to someone else or it can be a promise to yourself. When you don't do these things, it tells to your subconscious mind that I am not capable. I don't follow up on my word. My word is meaningless. And that in itself makes your self worth affect a lot. And unconsciously, when you don't do these things that you said that you will do, you unconsciously diminish your self worth. And unconsciously, you think, I don't deserve the success, I can't become successful because I don't do the things that I said I will do, right? And if you keep stacking up these losses every day, these small, tiny commitments that you said you will do, if you keep stacking it up, the things that you didn't do, your self worth gets hit a lot. Your self worth diminishes a lot. And after a certain time has passed, when you look back, when you look back at your life, you can simply only see the things that you said you will do, but you didn't do it. Why will the universe give you what you want if you can't give yourself what you want? When you say you will wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow, think it through, right? Because before you give your word to yourself, before you promise yourself that you will wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow, think whether you can commit to it. Think whether if I can sleep early today, because only if you can sleep early today you can wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow, right? So think it through before giving up any word of yours, before giving any commitment to yourself. Think whether you can follow it up or not. The reason many people can't manifest is they're not in control of the third dimensional reality. They are not in control of their physical plane. If your frequency is aligned, if your identity is aligned with your desires, but still if you can't manifest, and then it is simply that you're not taking the action that you said you will take. It is simply because of procrastination. When people talk about manifestation, they talk about many things. They talk about what techniques to use, they talk about what books to read, they talk about what YouTubers to follow, they talk about their experiences, they talk about why they can't manifest. But the one thing that they don't talk about, which is very crucial, is being a ruthless executor. When you directly know what you need to do, but you simply don't do it because you're not in the mood, or when you can't motivate yourself, then that says to your subconscious mind that even though this guy knows the clear path to his manifestation, he's simply not doing it, then that means he doesn't need it, he doesn't want it. Now, of course, you want it, but you don't want it bad enough, right? There are many people who don't know what they need to do in life in order to achieve those manifestations, but if you know what you need to do, then why don't you do it? In the manifestation space, people talk about n number of things. They talk about every single thing except taking action. They're talking about certain meditations. They are talking about Joe Dispenza meditations. They are talking about these specific techniques that you can use. But the one thing that I see many people struggle with, but they don't talk about in this manifestation space, is procrastination. It is knowing exactly what I need to do, but I simply don't do it. And that is a problem that many people face, but they simply ignore it, right? Because it is painful to know that I know what I need to do to become successful, but I simply don't do it. And they ignore that feeling as well. When you stop doing the things that you said you will do, you start feeling guilty, you start feeling shameful. And guilt and shame are they are the worst, lowest vibrational state that you can be in. From a vibration standpoint, guilt and shame are the worst emotions you can be in, right? And People who procrastinate, they don't want to feel these emotions. They don't want to feel the shame. They don't want to feel the guilt. They don't want to feel the guilt of not doing the things that they said that they will do. So they ignore that feeling as well, and those emotions get suppressed. And when emotion gets suppressed, they never go away. They keep popping up because you don't directly deal with it. You don't embrace those emotions. You don't let yourself feel those emotions. And since you don't let yourself feel those emotions, you suppress it. In Eastern knowledge, they call it the samskaras. Samskaras means deep suppressed emotions that you haven't felt enough, so that it gets suppressed in your subconscious mind, and small tiny glimpse of that emotion keeps popping up. You don't feel that guilt entirely in one moment, but you feel it then and there. You feel it in tiny bits. That is samskaras, right? So when you don't deal with the suppressed emotions, they keep popping up. Of course, they affect your frequency. Of course, they affect your manifestations. And what is the simplest way to deal with this guilt and shame? It is simply doing the task that you've been putting off. Every time you break that promise that you gave yourself, you are eroding the self trust that everything else has been built upon. Your entire frequency is dependent on your self trust. If you can't depend on yourself, how can you depend on the universe to take care of things for you? You can't trust yourself. You can't trust that you will follow up on your word. You can't trust your future self. And if you're a person who procrastinates a lot, when you look at your past self, you're filled with regret, you're filled with shame, you're filled with guilt, you're filled with anger on your past self because he didn't do it. And you, the present moment version of yourself, you are also not doing the actions that you need to take, and you're putting it off to the future version of yourself, and that becomes a cycle. The simplest way to break out of this loop is simply taking action. And this doesn't need to be audacious goals, audacious tasks that you need to complete in order to feel worthy. No. Set small commitments. Say to yourself that the moment I wake up, I will not look at my phone. Or the moment I wake up, I will not look at my phone and I will go outside and receive some sunlight. The moment I wake up, I will drink a glass of water. It can be very small commitments that you know you will do and simply do it. And when you stack up these small wins and small commitments, your self trust increases. You can depend on yourself. You will feel good. You will feel great that you're following up on your task that you said you will do. And that feeling good is the most important factor in your frequency. Emotion is the biggest contributor to your frequency. Your frequency consists of your emotions, thoughts, beliefs, attention, expectations, perception. But emotion is the most primary factor of your frequency. So if you start feeling good about yourself, if you start feeling great, then that directly contributes to your frequency, and that makes manifestation significantly easier because you know you can depend on yourself, because you know you can depend on yourself, you know that you can achieve your goals because you do the task, you follow up on your word, you can depend on yourself, right? You can depend on your future self that he will do the tasks that you set. When you make a to-do list, right? When you write down 5 tasks that you need to complete by tomorrow, you can sleep peacefully that the tomorrow version of yourself will do those tasks. But the present version of yourself needs to cultivate that feeling. So what you need to do? Set simple commitments that you can follow up and feel good about it. When you go and watch some YouTube channels that talk about this manifestation and reality creation, most channels don't talk about beating procrastination because they think that it is self improvement. They think it is not within their niche. But beating procrastination is the first step in mastering your reality because you still live in a third dimensional plane. You still live in physical reality. You are a physical being who was born in the physical world. So, of course, action is the most driving factor in achieving your dreams and goals. Apart from certain YouTubers, like I like Nero Knowledge a lot, and he talks about that taking action is still important. Now, there are certain YouTubers that I still look up to that still talk about this, but most of the YouTubers don't talk about this. They still talk about visualization, they still talk about affirming, they still talk about Joe Dispenza methods. Like, those are great. I'm not bad mouthing anyone over here. I learn a lot of things from my fellow YouTubers, but I think this is way much more important than visualization, than affirming, than any technique that you use or any foundational concept that you're learning. Many people talk about the hermetic principles that govern our world. They talk about law of attraction, they talk about law of correspondence, they talk about law of vibration. Like, all of those are great. Don't get me wrong. But if you simply can't take a mere action, a small action that you said you will do, none of it matters. If you say that you will meditate for 30 days consistently and you don't do it, that is a problem that you need to fix ASAP. Because action is the vehicle that brings that materializes your desires, right? So you keep an intention, you have a desire, and you have the materialization, the physicalization of that desire, which means that desire will get manifested in your physical reality, right? So the bridge between these are the actions that you will take. If you want financial freedom, of course you need to visualize having money. Of course you can't be in a desperate energy, right? But once you're aligned with your desires, you still need to take action. You still need to start that business. You still need to ask for the promotion. You still need to do certain tasks that your intuition says, so that the vehicle, which is action, will take you to your desired reality. You still need to master the physical plane. For a manifestation to happen, you need to be aligned with all three planes of existence, as Nero says, right? And when you need to master the physical plane, the only step that you need to take is being a ruthless executor, being a ruthless action taker. Each action you take, that you said you will take, it is like a brick. It is like a brick upon brick that lays the foundation, that tells the universe, that tells the subconscious that I do what I say, right? That makes you a disciplined person. This also helps with your identity as well. If you're not been following, if you have not been following up on your tasks, then you possess the identity that I'm not a disciplined person. I don't follow up on my tasks. And we both know how important identity is. I am disciplined. If you can say I am disciplined without feeling guilty, without feeling shame, without feeling fake, then you are on the right path. But if you can't say I am disciplined without any fakeness, without any guilt, then that means you are not disciplined, right? If you're not disciplined, then if you are not disciplined, if you can't discipline yourself, if you can't follow up on your word, then why would the universe follow up on its word to give you a happy and wonderful life? If you can't take care of yourself, why would the universe take care of you? And when we're talking about this problem, don't expect a complicated solution, like how to be motivated, what psychological triggers can I do in order to not procrastinate. None of it matters, none of it is sustainable. Now I can intend to raise my hand. Now I have an intention that I need to raise my hand. But that is not action. First, you need to realize the difference between setting an intention and actually taking that action. Now I intend, I want to raise my hand. Was my hand raised? No. But I raise my hand. There's a difference between setting an intention and taking action. But your brain, you simply imagining that you will finish those tasks, it gives you a dopamine hit, right? And that is precisely why I think that many people don't take the action, because they set an intention that I will do all these tasks by tomorrow. I'll finish all these tasks and I'll feel great. And by thinking about it itself, that they're feeling great, and when the moment comes that they need to take action, they simply don't do it. So there's a difference between There's a difference between keeping an intention that you will do something and actually doing it. Try for yourself. Intend, keep an intention that you will raise your hand or your hand raised, and simply do the action of raising your hand. Then you will know the difference between setting an intention and actually taking an action. That is all there is to it. It is as simple as that. From the moment you are a child, from the moment you are born, you have been taking action. So don't come here and tell me taking action is hard for me. Don't depend on your emotion to follow up on your tasks. If you're not feeling like doing it, you simply do it. You move your body. One important part of manifesting is acting as if, right? Now, if you want to be rich, then start acting like the rich person that you said that you are. Rich people don't procrastinate. Successful people don't procrastinate. Realize, become aware that if I procrastinate, then I am not the ideal version of myself. This you can also tackle this problem with awareness, right? Throughout your day, ask yourself, who am I being at this present moment? Am I being a procrastinator? Am I putting off tasks? Am I being the highest version of myself today? Am I being the highest version of myself right now? If you ask those questions, if you become aware, then you will know. Many people procrastinate because they're simply not aware that they're procrastinating. Right? So when you become aware of what you're doing at this present moment, you can realign yourself to your highest version. So be aware. Be aware of what you're doing. If you have been doom scrolling social media for 3 hours, you're doing that because you're not aware that you're doing that. Any addiction you have, when you're indulging in a bad habit, you're doing it because you're not aware. You're not aware yet that you're doing it. And when you do it and when you indulge in that bad habit, after that you feel guilty. After that you feel shameful. Because then you are aware. Then you are aware that, oh my God, why did I do it? I said I will not do it, but then why did I do it? Right? So awareness is key. Be aware throughout your day. What task did I say I will do today? Okay, then why am I not doing it? Ask yourself these questions. Why am I not doing it? Is it because of the uncomfortable feeling that I will get because that task is hard? Why is the task hard? I can simply do it. Ask yourself, if I don't do it today, would my future self be happy? If I don't do the task of what I said I will do today, what would the future self would think of me? Do I want my future self to be happy? All of these are self-reflective questions that you can ask, that you can journal about. Right? So take action, be a ruthless executor, right? I know many people don't talk about this, but I know that being in the right frequency comes first, and being in the right state of consciousness comes first, being in the right mindset comes first, but taking action is still important. It is very much important. It is more important than you realize. Because you're still a physical being, you're still living in a physical world, and you still need to take physical action. Right? So that's it from me. You can check out the link in the description to access my free courses. If not, then yeah, you can still watch my videos for free as well, and I will see you in another video.